Virgo Suns and Virgo Rising, welcome here. This is the 2026 forecast and lots in store. Most of all, you're going to have another eclipse in your sign. That will be in March of this year, and it reflects back on the two eclipses of 2025, which you had in March and September. As always, eclipses are going to help us to individuate. If you experience an eclipse close to your sun, some kind of endings, some kind of beginnings, something new is emerging in terms of your essence and your light and your life. If you have an eclipse in your ascendant, in your rising sign, or even on your ascendant degree, transformation of your identity. Someone is seeing you as a new person. Maybe you have changed your status. You've married, you've got a new name, or you are stepping out into the world in a new way. So the two eclipses of 2025 and this eclipse of March 2026 form a grouping which are helping you to individuate more and to become more of who you are. And really the whole story of astrology is that it is about taking off the layers and allowing the essence of our sun or our light to shine through. When I do give a date in this forecast, take a day on either side. It depends on your time zone. And also, please remember, this is a general forecast. Some of you write to me and say not everything applies. Of course it doesn't. This forecast is for all Virgo suns, and that is a lot of people on this planet. It is also for all Virgo ascendant. All 29 degrees of Virgo are included. So you have to make adjustments. Because, for example, if you have a 0 to 3 degree Virgo ascendant, planets will visit your ascendant at a different stage to if you have a 28 or 29 degree Virgo ascendant. You'll feel the energies later. So in that way, astrology can be very accurate when we have somebody's chart. Probably 75% accurate. But when we're dealing with a forecast such as this, it is helpful in that it can give you a general overview of the themes for the year and the energies month by month. When to move forward, when to be a little bit more cautious, and when to make hay while the sun shines. Virgo, you are Mercury ruled. That means the planet of communication, the planet of travel is in charge of your sun if you're a Virgo sun, and it's in charge of your chart if you are Virgo rising. So every year we have approximately 3 Mercury retrograde periods of about 3.5 weeks each. This year is no exception, and the 3 retrogrades will be in water signs: Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. What does this mean for you, Virgo? It means that these are natural or lawful periods of times to slow down. The first one will be in Pisces, in your house of relationships. So if you are in a relationship, there's going to be something around the partner that comes up. And if you're not in relationship, it might simply be that energy that you put out into the world is going to be a little bit slower or withdrawn. And we don't want to rush about during these retrograde periods. But I'm not really concerned about that for you, Virgo, because you know how to be on time. You know how to take it slowly, and you know how to be careful in what you're doing. The second retrograde will be in Cancer, and that is in your house of friendships. So I'm seeing a visiting of old friends during the middle part of the year. And I'll give you the dates when we go month by month. Maybe old friends are coming to visit you. Could be a real sense of reunion there, of coming together, possibly with a group that you haven't seen for a while, but it's a good energy. And the final one will be in Scorpio, round about October. And this is going to be a tricky one because Venus will be retrograde during part of that time with Mercury, and it's going to require a lot of work on your communication. And there could be travel slowdowns at this time. So simply to be aware of it is half the problem solved, so to speak, because we know that we need to slow down and take extra care. Let's look a little bit more detailed at the overview for the year. So we've mentioned the two most important things. For you, it's the eclipse in your sign in March, and you can relate it back to the March and September eclipses of 2025. Secondly, it's those 3 Mercury retrograde periods when you are meant to slow down and you're meant to catch up with things that you are behind in. What other energies are going to be active for you, Virgo, in 2026? Jupiter, the planet of benevolence and abundance, has been traveling through Cancer since July of 2025, and it will continue to be there for the first 6 months of 2026. So you're firmly in that flow now. It's been operating in a place for you which has to do with your groups and your friendships. So many of you, since July of 2025 and continuing on with many more opportunities in the first part of 2026, have been fomenting alliances and working with groups and becoming engaged in a greater community of friends or people with whom you share like-minded ideas. There have been a lot of opportunities to grow. Possibly you have been recognized at work for something that you do, and most of the time you don't seek the limelight. So Jupiter traveling through this part of your chart has been important. You feel acknowledged, and you will continue to do so for the first part of 2026. There's a focus on that. From the middle of 2026, July 1st, Jupiter will move into Leo, and it's going to move into a quieter place of your chart, Virgo. So for you, I see you pulling back a little from those groups, pulling back a little from actively engaging in friendships. And for the following year, in other words, July of 26 to July of 27, you're going to be more behind the scenes, finding joy being alone. I see you walking in nature more, taking time to just contemplate the universe and absorbing all the powerful group and friendship and visionary input that you've been receiving for the first part of the year. And it's a subtle change, but it's a definite change. And every 12 years we get a full cycle from Jupiter. So you can go back and you can find out when Jupiter was last in Cancer and when it was last in Leo. And this will enable you to see how these cycles are operating in your own life. 2026 is going to begin for you with Saturn and Neptune still in the last degrees of Pisces. What does this mean? It means that themes that have been going on for a long time, for Saturn it would have been since 2023, they are now coming to the end. So 2023 saw Saturn move into Pisces and begin this journey for you, where you were beginning a new 7-year cycle of your life. It involved a lot of hard work, a lot of adjustment, changing track in some way with your career. And for the first 2 months of 2026, Saturn is finishing off that cycle for you. And by March, both Saturn and Neptune will have moved firmly out of Pisces and into Aries, moving into a quieter place of your chart. Again, there's an interesting theme this year because this place has to do with spiritual deepening, spiritual search, spiritual understanding. It could also reflect a deeper interest in any of the occult sciences or the spiritual sciences, tarot, astrology, alternative healing, yoga, all those things that you are interested in naturally, Virgo, might become more and more emphasized as 2026 moves forward. And Saturn is going to be in that area all the way until March of 2028. So you have 2 years to work with this deeper energy. And I could possibly see you studying something under this energy, or going deeply into an interest of yours. And Neptune is going to be there for many, many years, into the 2030s. So you can relax and enjoy this time where there's a little bit less pressure on you. When Saturn is either in opposition to your Sun, Pisces, Virgo, or your ascendant, Pisces, Virgo, there's pressure to grow. And now that those 2 planets are moving into Aries, they release some pressure and you feel a little bit more balanced in your entire life. One challenge that I need to mention for you is that because Pluto is now in Aquarius and will be here until 2044, and it's been here since 2024, and Uranus and Neptune are now in Aries, and you're here, Virgo. What that means is that there can be some pressure on the health system, and that won't be for all of you right now, so you can relax. You may receive this visit within the next 20 years for a 1 to 2 year period, but to be prepared, and we mentioned this in last year's forecast, you really need to be mindful of your health, what you're putting in your body, and to just generally continue to take care of your health in the way that you do. Pluto in this area requires change, and the most positive outcome is complete transformation on a cellular level. And many of you have been putting this kind of effort in. You've been doing work on your emotional body, on your mental body, and on your physical body. And it's starting to show results. So please keep up the good work. This is the transformation that is so wonderfully needed. And at your core, you are earth sign and determined to be healthy. What else do we see for 2026? I'm seeing this wonderful, exciting, liberating move of Uranus into Gemini. And you will have had a taste of that in 2025 because it was in Gemini, your house of work or career or public standing, for part of the year. When 2026 begins, it's back in Taurus, back in that place which has to do with travel, the spiritual world, expansion, and so on. Possibly you are doing some kind of travel for work, or doing some research which requires you to work with people from other countries, or you're simply sitting at home and you're reading books to expand and develop your mind. Regardless, at the end of April 2026, Uranus is going to move firmly into Gemini, and it will be there until 2033. And then it's going to be in a square aspect to your sun or to your rising sign if you're a Virgo ascendant. What does that mean, Virgo? It means that change, individuation is still happening. So while Saturn has taken the pressure off, there is now this energy to be more authentic. And you simply cannot hide from this Uranus energy at some point over the next 7 years if it hasn't begun for you already. And that would be if you early Virgo or have an early Virgo ascendant. You're going to receive this visit which encourages you to be free. And freedom means different things for different people, but the kind of freedom that Uranus is ultimately after is spiritual freedom. And in order to help you to understand this lesson, Uranus can bring experiences into your life which cause you to individuate and to stand on your own 2 feet and to say, I'm not afraid. I can do it, and it's wonderful, here I am. If you are on a spiritual path, Uranus is a deeply spiritualizing influence in that it can bring a download of spiritual information and change the vibration with which you are, the frequency with which you are vibrating. Some people do suffer from a little bit of sleeplessness when Uranus enters into close contact with their sun or ascendant. So for each of you, that will be at a different time, but I'm going to recommend that, as always, you keep your nervous system under check, whatever you need to do to relax. Each of you will have your own method, but it's very important to continue to try to get a good night's sleep and to understand that there are forces beyond our control that are operating within our bodies and on our bodies, on our nervous system, on our glands, on our hormones. And Virgo needs to ground. You are an earth sign. You need to ground in order to counteract the very strong energies of Mercury in your body, and now also this transit coming up from Uranus. Finally, there will be 3 times during 2026 when your ruling planet Mercury is under some kind of stress from Saturn, from Neptune. It's good to mention these in advance so that you can take care and you know it's going to pass very quickly. We're talking about less than a week. So these are particular times to ground, to walk, to eat healthy food, and to care for yourself. And that will be in the second part of April, so around the 16th, for a week or so. Be aware that you're going to feel that energy. Saturn can offer a restricting energy. So if you feel heavy in any way, mentally heavy, concerned or worried or anxious about anything, know that it will pass quickly. And the best way to direct this kind of energy is into a serious project, something that anchors your mind and keeps you focused so that you don't have worries going on. The second period will be in June, and that'll be early June, so around about the 2nd, 3rd, that week of June. And the third period will be the second part of September. So on the 10th, 11th of September for that week or so. So those are your heads up times to give yourself extra special self-care. And let's look in more detail at the new and full moons each month and see what's happening for you and how to plan ahead. January appears to be a very relaxing time for you, especially the first 3 weeks when all those planets are moving through Capricorn, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all in your house of leisure, relaxation, children, creative projects, and so on. So if you are able to take some time off during those first 2 or 3 weeks in January, it's well advised. Try to relax with the family, or if you live alone, it's a wonderful time to get into a project that you enjoy. Maybe you're a writer, you're going to really have some space and some time to write because the planets are favorable for that. There is a full moon which will be in the sign of friendship around the 3rd, right as the year gets underway. So that you could be out and about with friends as the new year begins, but I don't think it's going to last that long because then you seem to be back into either working on this project or hanging out with the children and really relaxing. So important for you, Virgo. You have had to learn how to relax, and it's coming. The new moon for January will be in that house of children and creative projects. It's on the 19th, give or take a day on either side. So this could be when you are launching some kind of project you've been working on, or it could be when the children go back to school and you're suddenly feeling as if your life is your own again. That really starts the beginning for you around the 19th, and it's an Earth moon, so it's a positive time for you, Virgo. One other thing to mention about the very early part of the year, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th of January, both Venus and Mars will be out of bounds, and it exaggerates their nature. So Venus is about love, beauty, money. Mars is about action, friction, passion. So be aware of that. There's a full moon in the mix, and if you are out and about with family or friends, try to be the calm one in the equation because energies could really be flaring up with this passion that is coming into the world at that time. But by the middle of the month, things settle down. That new moon in Capricorn sets the tone for you, sets the beginning, and a couple of days after that, Sun moves into Aquarius. So for you, that's your time to buckle down and begin some kind of work in whatever work you do. If you are not working, this could be when you go back to your routine. Maybe it's an exercise routine, maybe it's a different kind of a routine. Things start to fall into shape then, and this is a great time also to go for a health checkup or to get back into your exercise routine. February continues in a routine-orientated way, except for the 1st of the month, full moon in Leo, so you might have some social activity there. And then there's a slow build up to the first eclipse of the year. And that is going to be on the 17th of the month in that place of routines for you. So what I'm seeing is that there may be activity which happens to switch up your daily routine or even cause some kind of disruption because we've got a lot of Uranian energy around that new moon. So just be aware. You might not want to overschedule things around that new moon on the 17th, and to keep things flowing as quietly as you can. Sometimes with eclipses, nothing happens, and then only a week or two afterwards is the information of the eclipse revealed to you. So we could also be talking about something to do with your health. That is nothing to be alarmed about. It's just happening in that area of your chart, which might be pointing you in a new direction. And that's a positive thing. You know, eclipses can work to open something up. You receive new information, and then you can tweak your diet or your lifestyle accordingly. So I'm putting that out there and hoping that this is the best manifestation for you for that first eclipse, Virgo. For the entire world, the end of February is going to be a very important time because we are building up to the exact Saturn-Neptune conjunction when the two planets come together at around the 25th of February. So this is happening at a place where the energies can come forward onto the world stage. These planets do come together every 36 years or so, and research shows that old structures can fall away at this time so that new structures can be built and come into the world. How does this affect us ordinary people? We should go about our business quietly and remain calm. Nothing happens overnight. This is a background energy, though, that is really coming into the world so that something can change. And we've been feeling this change for many, many years, and particular in 2025, when these planets shifted into these new signs. So what does it ask of us? It asks us to be open to whatever arrives. If structures are falling away and new structures are being built on a global level, how can you take that energy and use it in your own life? This might be a very good time to get your message out if you have a message. And many of you do. You work in fields where you are sharing something with the world. Many of you are writers or teachers. So a very good time, and this is going to be for all of the next couple of months. We're going to have this strong energy of speaking our truth and trying to balance the energies of Saturn and Neptune. Saturn wants structure, Neptune wants things to dissolve, but when we can bring them together in a positive way, ideal visions can gain a new structure. So if you're working on something that needs that kind of approach, a structure, but with a vision, this is going to be a very, very good time for you. And for the rest of February, we also have another aspect which is going to really energize you in terms of work or career if you're working. If not, we could be looking at something to do with a parent or something to do in the home where there's a lot of change. It's a powerful aspect, Jupiter, Pluto, overturning the tables, throwing out old energy so that new energy can come in. So once again, I wouldn't place too much emphasis on my daily routine in February. I would simply try to leave some things open so that you can be flexible, because being flexible is when the true energy can come in, because we are open to change. The month is going to end with Mercury turning retrograde. So that's that first retrograde we spoke of. It will happen on the 26th of February, give or take a day on either side. And that's going to be in that house of partnerships for you in Pisces. So please apply it accordingly. I know not all of you are in relationships, but maybe it's the time where you're going to become interested, or an old relationship is going to return to you. Who knows? But on that day of the station when Mercury appears to change directions in the sky. Great day to take a rest, to take it easy, not to rush about. March seems to be all about give and take and figuring something out with a partner. It could be a business partner, it could be your spouse. However the energies are working, there is a lot of give and take until you find the balance. The month begins with that eclipse in your sign. That's on March 3rd. It's a full moon eclipse in Virgo. And almost all the other planets of the zodiac are in Pisces at that time. Sun is in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, Mars is in Pisces, the North Node is in Pisces. So you're going to feel as if it's you and you're having to balance whatever is going on either with your partner or with something out in the world. Please listen to astrology and don't make major decisions during the end of February or the first part of March. New information will come to light. There'll be a release, especially once Mercury stations direct around March 20th. You're going to feel things open up. You're going to feel things shift. And the irony is that energetically, we always feel pressured to make a decision before that eclipse. You know, we feel we have to sign a contract on a new lease, or we have to move house, or we have to say yes to a marriage proposal. Whatever is happening, it could be something smaller. We could be forced into signing rights to a certain intellectual property we have. Anything. Please apply it to your life. But astrology is asking us to try to hold off and resist signing on the dotted line before that eclipse, especially when it's in your sign. As I mentioned in the introduction, the positive benefits of this eclipse could be something falling away, something new can come into your life. If it's coming into your ascendant, there might be a new kind of identity. And all will be revealed as March unwinds. It's a good time to be once again flexible. This is the message I'm getting for you, Virgo. The theme for the year is that anything is possible. There will be a lot of changes, and your best attitude is flexibility. And sometimes this is a challenge because you have a very strong earth element. Earth likes things to be stable. However, you're a mutable sign that's changeable, and Mercury, your ruling planet, has a mutable nature. So you can access that mutable side of yourself when you let go and you flow. The other two energies I want to mention for March is that money could come in through your relationship at this time. Your partner might be getting money, and there's a little bit of joy or beauty or good things in that area. And secondly, that in the middle of the month, Jupiter is going to station direct. So the year begins with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, and in mid-March, it's going to start to slowly pick up speed and move forward again through its final journey in Cancer. It's got another 4 months to go in Cancer. This is a positive energy for you when Jupiter is in this house of dreams, goals, manifestation, friends. So embrace that. If opportunities come in for you to travel with a group or travel with friends, say yes if you can. If opportunities come in for you to team up with a group of people to work on a project together, say yes, it's going to be beneficial. And it's going to move through that area of your chart until July 1st. April sees an emphasis on money matters. And it's very interesting that this is the month in the United States where tax is due. Perhaps there is something similar for you in whichever country you're listening to this from. But there is going to be forming in your chart some kind of delay around finances or money coming in, or some kind of frustration. Possibly it's going to manifest in that area. There could also be something around health, that you are trying to get healthy, but things are back and forth. It might be an old injury that you're nursing. Be patient and take it easy. Mars and Saturn are coming together. Mars wants to move forward, Saturn wants to restrict. So that becomes exact on the 18th of the month. And after that, things will slowly start to ease up. Possibly the money is going to come in. You're going to start to feel better, and more energy can flow in once that restriction is over. Money is emphasized in another way in April because you have the full moon on the 1st of the month in that house of resources for you, sign of Libra. Hopefully good things are happening with money, but there's an awareness there. Maybe you're trying to balance the books, to balance things. And the new moon on the 17th, give or take a day or two, is going to be in your partner's house of resources. Once again, if you're not in a partnership, apply it. You could simply be working with finances at this time. Most important is care, with everything being above board, legal. Read contracts carefully if you're signing them, especially because you've got Saturn and Neptune in this house, which can make things blurry. So you want to be very careful also about inheritance. If you're inheriting property, take care that there are no strings attached. If you're inheriting money, take care that it's all legal, all clear, signed in front of lawyers and so on. And for your own business, make sure that your tax is 100% in order. And of course, the most important happening for April is on the 25th of the month, Uranus is finally moving into Gemini. So for many of you, that might be a day of adjustment, a couple of days of adjustment. I'm seeing potential changes at work. Might be news around a parent or something going on with the home. Are you selling your home? Are you moving your home? Are you putting it on the market? Are you making decisions for a big move? So that's an exciting energy, and it's an energy that we need to respect. It's going to be in Gemini until 2033. So plenty of time to let the changes come in and manifest. The month of May brings a lot of good energy. I'm seeing it in the area of publishing, if you're involved in that, or in writing, presenting. Some of you are in the medical field. You might be sharing your research, putting a paper out. Also energy around travel. It could be short trips, long trips, planning a trip. But this is the energy around which May begins. And on the very first of the month, there's a full moon in the sign of Scorpio. So this generates activity for you. You might be going on a trip, returning from a trip, or involved in presenting, communicating, sharing, teaching a class. Whatever you are involved in, it seems to involve some kind of communication, Virgo. So this is the time that you could schedule in advance. For example, if you're someone who gives workshops or readings, putting your novel out, whatever is planned for the year ahead, May is the time where that area is particularly activated. From the 4th of May until around June 7th, Venus is going to be out of bounds. Simply means that her energy is a little bit emphasized here on Earth. So we might feel more attractive, we might feel more inclined towards relationship. And the negative side of that is that we might be obsessing over relationships. I'm not too concerned about you with that, Virgo, because you tend to have a grip on reality most of the time. And how I'm seeing you able to use this Venus energy is to get a makeover, treat yourself, go to the hairdresser, go to the hair salon, or have a beauty treatment, or do something that cares for you. Sometimes you need to be told to do this because it's last on your list. So May, early June is a good time. The 18th of the month sees the new moon, so new beginnings always, again in that house to do with communication, travel, also religious activities. What's going on there, you will know, apply it to your life and initiate something new at that time. And then May is going to end off around the 31st with a second full moon. And this time it's in the place of the home for you. So there could be people coming into your home, a parent or both your parents could be visiting, you could be visiting them. There may be energy around endings and new beginnings. Possibly you are redecorating your home. Whatever the case, allow the light of the moon to shine on this place and to bring good, vital energy into your home environment. June continues the theme of travel and expansion. We've got the sun traveling through your house of work or career. So you're very visible. If you're working, put yourself out there. And if you're taking some time off, Mars is going through that house of travel now and internationalism. So you could be traveling for work, you could be traveling for pleasure but having to do some work on the side, or you could simply be continuing with this theme of getting your message out. Whatever you're working on, it's taking on a more public or visible stance during this part of the year for you. And by the time the month draws to a close, Mercury is going to station retrograde again. So while Mercury is still moving forward, you want to be making the most of that and ticking off all the action items on your list and getting it done by the time Mercury starts to slow down. Before that happens, there's a beautiful new moon on the 14th of the month, and that's happening in your place of work. So all systems go. If you're working, you're visible, the action is there, and it could be accompanied by internationalism or publishing or something to do with that. Then building up to the 28th, 29th of the month, not only is there a full moon, but Mercury is stationing. So we want to be extra mindful at this time, especially because we have Mars moving towards Uranus. And this planetary combination is known to trip us up or make us so hasty that we don't look where we're putting our feet. Please take care. Schedule a lot of extra time to get from one place to another. And because this energy is all happening in your house of visibility, I'd like to suggest that you innovate at this time. If you have been thinking about an idea at work and you've been humming and hawing, should you move forward with it, this could be the time, because there's a powerful, new, exciting energy taking place in a visible section for Virgos and Virgo suns, Virgo ascendants. So we want to use this planetary energy and go into July with all cylinders firing, except we don't want to be hasty. And I know you'll figure out the best way to deal with this. July begins with your ruling planet Mercury retrograde, and it's in the sign of Cancer, nurturing friendships for you, Virgo. So I'm going to encourage you, hook up with an old friend during this month of July. It's not only the Mercury retrograde that is suggesting that. We have two other planetary configurations that are really inviting this. Venus is going to move into your sign, and you're usually feeling at your best. You love to see friends when you're feeling good. It's a wonderful time for friendship, for short travels to see those that you haven't seen for a long time. You could also be going to visit a parent, or they could be coming to you because you have this action in the 10th house, your house of work, or it's squaring your sun. You've got Uranus there now. Mars is traveling through this house for most of the month. So there really is energy there. Also energy for routine work. You can put your head down now and get a whole lot of things taken care of, especially as Mars starts to move away from that Uranus energy, which has been causing all of that excitement. There is a new moon on the 14th, and that is in Cancer, also the house of friendship for you. So I'm hoping to see you, if it's not friends, maybe it's a group that you're getting together with, or some kind of workshop that you've committed to or are hosting. It looks like a very positive time for that. The other new energy that's coming in July, right in the beginning of the month, is that Jupiter is moving into Leo. We spoke of that in the introduction, and that's a shift for you, Virgo. That's a shift towards a more inward turning energy. So while you're seeing friends, there might be a background hum taking place where you're realizing, oh, I'm actually ready for some alone time after this event, and I'm going to make some more time for myself moving on into August or as the year progresses. So even though Mercury is retrograde until the 20th of July, you've got that beautiful Venus in your sign to mitigate that energy. And it's very good to slow down at that time, even though other forces might be trying to drive you forward. Good not to overdo it. You know, there's a Jupiter-Pluto opposition forming, and the nodal axis is moving into Aquarius. So what I'm seeing for you, Virgo, is that you could be really putting your feet up and resting at this time, and just almost forcing yourself to do a little bit less. We know you like to drive yourself, and sometimes it can be a little bit much. So I'm hoping that the middle part of July is going to be quieter, and you're going to listen to the energies. There's a lot going on. Saturn is also stationing, and more things than we need to mention here, but it's a good time to take a pause when you're tired and to have a cup of tea and to rest. The month of July will end with a full moon, and that's going to be in your house of daily routines and health. So great if you've been working hard on staying healthy. This could be a time when something comes to fruition. You go for your well visit and the doctor says your numbers are great, or you simply feel good. If you are involved in any kind of governmental agencies or politics or political campaigns, this is a time to be extremely mindful not to get embroiled in power struggles of any kind. Some of you are involved in these fields, and there's a couple of aspects forming which show that we want to hold the energy inside ourselves. We can be sovereign and stand in our own power, and we don't need to become embroiled in a battle over something that is going to be passing very soon anyway. August has this conflicting kind of energy to it, where on the one hand you want to withdraw, spend time alone, And on the other hand, you being forced to be out there and to put yourself on the line. Mars is still traveling very actively for you, initiating, doing, being in the world. And yet the sun is now entering a quiet place of your chart. And of course, it's the second eclipse season. We've got 2 eclipses in August, the first one in Leo and the second one in Pisces. And both of those places for you tend to make you want to be quieter and to tuck yourself away until the energy has passed. Mars will also be out of bounds from August 3rd to 28th. What does that mean for us? For you in particular, energy to be with certain groups, to be around friends, to put effort into work. Just be cautious if you do suffer from any kind of anger suppression. This could be a time where things want to boil over or come out. So manage that wisely in whichever way you do. It might be good to talk with someone if you have issues that you've been holding on to from the past. Virgo, being an earth sign, tends to shove anger or difficult situations down into the gut, into the underworld, and problems can result in the digestion because of this. So month of August seems to be offering you an opportunity to let things out, but we don't want to do so in a way that harms or hurts people we love, shouting at our spouse or shouting at our children or conflict at work. So I'm going to recommend, if you do find yourself feeling particularly tense or thinking back on a situation that you feel deeply hurt or angered by, this is a great month to speak to a therapist, speak to a friend. Mars will move into Cancer around the 11th of the month, so you've got energy for support coming in there. And don't block things up. The Leo solar eclipse at the new moon on August 12th may be very potent for the world. So that's another reason why tension or energy could be building the week before that eclipse. So hopefully afterwards something will be released. We should all try to be quiet around that new moon solar eclipse, because there really is something that wants to come forward onto the world stage. And the quieter we are, the more we can help to channel that energy so that it can be positive and not destructive. And we do have support this eclipse season, as there's a trine between Jupiter, our beneficent planet, and Saturn, our structure planet, in fire signs. So that's going to support whatever is going on and hopefully help each of us to find a greater sense of purpose. And we are building towards that second eclipse, which will take place at the end of the month, and that will be in Pisces, which for you is your place of partnership. So apply it to your own life. It could be a husband, a wife, a partner, your boss, someone that you're in partnership with that comes into the spotlight, or you could be dealing with your own kinds of issues around getting out in the world, staying home, trying to find the balance, because there's an introvert-extrovert balance that needs to come into harmony now. The good news is that before that eclipse, the sun will move into your sign. That's around the 24th. So happy birthday, dear Virgo. If you're a Virgo sun, the sun is coming in. You're about to start your birthday season. And if you're Virgo ascendant, the sun is coming into your ascendant. If you're an early Virgo ascendant, it's coming in right now. If your ascendant is in later degrees of Virgo, the sun will enter a little bit later, probably the following month. September is always a good month for you, Virgo. You don't like to make a big deal out of your birthday, but you do tend to take it as a month of new beginnings. There's joy in your heart, That feeling of wellness that comes from having joy in the heart can fill you at this time of year. So move towards that. It's your new moon on around the 10th of September, 9th, 10th, possibly 11th if you're in a different time zone. That's your time to set the intentions for the year ahead. So use it wisely. Many of you like to journal and to take time to reflect. So this would be a good time. And then a day or two after the new moon is when we put things into action and put things into initiation, and our plans have a good way of growing because we are seeding them at the new moon time. Mars, our planet of action, is going to be traveling for most of the month through that area of your chart that has to do with envisioning something, having a dream, having an ideal. And there's a bit of friction there, which you're going to feel because you have something, you know that there's a new step for you, something you need to do, but you're not quite sure if you need to put yourself out into the world more or if you need to withdraw more. And things around this theme are going to come up over September. And the light of the sun shining on you brings them to the surface because they're meant to be seen. So don't be afraid to sit with that. The answer is there and you will find it because the answer is different for each one of you. Note also that Pluto might be bringing up issues around pets that have to be dealt with. Maybe a new pet is coming into your home, and that's a wonderful thing. And we also have this energy closer to the end of the month where Mars will move into a quieter place. Behind closed doors, Mars moves into Leo, and we get that chance to reflect, to be more alone, seeing you a little bit quiet, especially around the full moon on the 26th. It's in Aries, and it's in that place where you need to assess. You're assessing your financial situation, you're assessing your values, you're assessing something of that sort. And this is going to stand you in good stead for October when we're preparing for the Venus followed by Mercury retrogrades. October begins with Venus retrograding around the 3rd of the month. She's going to be in the sign of Scorpio, and she's going to move backwards through certain degrees of Libra, forwards again through Libra and Scorpio. So this area is for you to do with communication. And your ruling planet will move retrograde on around the 26th of October in that same area of the zodiac. This symbolizes that you're going to be dealing with some kind of communication highlight over this time. Maybe a sibling is going to come into the spotlight, brothers, sisters needing your help, needing your attention. With the sun and the new moon in your house of money and resources, possibly brothers and sisters are lending you money or loaning you resources, stepping in to help, or vice versa, you are helping them with their resources with a loan. I see that happening potentially, or you could simply be focused on getting your own house in order, and the Venus retrograde is going to make you clearly sit down and examine finances. How can you work with them, and how can you make your budget more applicable to your lifestyle? The Scorpio retrograde usually requires us to also go deep on a relational front. So if we have been having any concerns in our close relationships, these are going to come into the light to be reviewed. Scorpio is a sign that demands us to go deep. There's a passion associated with it, which is to do with the laser focus of a feminine-orientated Mars. Can we use this Venus retrograde, which is in a sign ruled by Mars, to uncover any deep issues in our relationships, to work with them, and to allow them to be healed? Venus will also be retrograding through Libra, so that's about give and take, harmony. Out of disharmony comes harmony, and you're moving towards that. So hold the harmony and the positive passion as your goal as you work through this month. For those of you that are single and not interested in relationships at all, as I mentioned, you could be dealing with financial things that need taken care of, or you could simply be using this as time to withdraw from your social circle, step back a little bit and examine, are these the friends I want? Is this the group I want to be part of? And where do I want to move forward in November when the retrograde ends? So take your time, Virgo. You have the time now. These retrogrades are lawful times for us to pull back a little and examine things. There's almost like a stop in the trajectory of forward moving time. And knowing in advance helps us to subtly be aware of the energies. Because if you're always so-called moving forward with your life and never taking time to reflect, cannot penetrate the layers of your subconscious, which is where the real change and spiritual growth of your life can take place. All of this in-depth searching will be aided by Pluto stationing direct around the 15th of October. So we can go deeper, we can process more. Pluto is the planet of transformation. It's a good day to get a good night's sleep, put your feet up, and don't overdo it. We're building towards that retrograde of Mercury, which will happen on the 24th. And then 2 days later, there is a magnificent full moon in Taurus. Very powerful full moon. Many of the fixed signs are activated at that time. So use that for grounding and for meditation. Full moons are a wonderful time to meditate because there is energy pouring into the planet. And if we're not quiet inside, that energy is then used for chaos. As we know, emergency rooms are full at this time. Urgent care is full. People are racing about. So we want to learn as we mature how to harness the energies of the full moon so that we can evolve as spiritual beings and not just let the emotion, which is represented by the moon, spill over into useless activity. November begins with you being a little bit behind the scenes again, possibly dealing with something a little bit secretive that you don't necessarily want to share with everyone in the family, or having to take care of private matters. And there is a new moon in the house of communication, siblings, and short journeys, but it's not necessarily the time to initiate something new fully. In order to do that, if it's got to do with your job or travels, the suggestion is that we wait until the 13th or 14th of November, and that is going to be when both Mercury, your planet, and Venus are going to start to move forward and pick up speed again. And many of the challenges that we've been facing over the past few weeks are going to resolve themselves. You've pushed through, you've done exactly what's right, you've continued to go down your path, and you haven't allowed yourself to be distracted by the retrogrades. Hopefully something deep and profound has been healed or uncovered, and you're now ready to begin this beautiful journey again, maybe visiting ground you've already visited, but with brand new eyes, like seeing someone you love for the first time. Even though you see them every day, you finally realize how very much you appreciate this person. And we're moving towards a full moon in Gemini, which will be on or around the 24th of the month. And this is a very changeable full moon. It's going to be closely conjunct that planet of change. So we want to be up for anything. Parents could come in the spotlight. Our home could come in the spotlight. Work could come in the spotlight. Changes, adjustments. We need to be ready and we need to be open, because this full moon is taking place in a very visible place of our chart. So it's not the time to hide away. It's the time to be prepared for the unexpected, which of course is not possible. December sees a lot of action in the home, something to do with the roots, the family, the living place, the homeland. However you can apply this to your life, it's coming into the spotlight. And the other energy that I'm seeing for December will only fully be revealed next year, because Mars is going to be traveling through your sign for most of December, Virgo. If you're a Virgo ascendant, it's traveling through your ascendant. If you're a Virgo sun, it's traveling through the house of where your sun is. But then as 2027 gets underway, Mars will retrograde back, and it's going to be retrograde for many months, at least the first few months of 2027. So only then will this energy reveal itself to us. However, it does mean that whatever happens in December is valuable, it's important, and you should make a note of it. You will have extra energy in the home because, of course, the sun is traveling through there, and there's going to be a new moon there on the 8th of December in this area that has to do with our foundations, where we come from, the father, the roots, and so on. If you can't apply that to your life, we might be looking at moving house. You know, you've got Uranus in your 10th house, you've got all this activity in your 4th house. That could be a time of deciding to sell and downsize, or deciding to move to a different place. Maybe you're only beginning a family now. You'll be able to apply this to your life and to see what's appropriate. That new moon in Sagittarius is a powerful one in the home, because it's activating Uranus, the planet of change, and is activated by it. So this is what could bring the moving energy. This is what could bring the shift. Also at work, possibly you're ending off a year of work and you've handed in your resignation, and you're excited to see what the new year brings. And that would tie very well into the Mars retrograde, because it would mean that you have time, 3 or 4 months, to look for a new job and to spend some time at home. So astrology always gives us suggestions as to how things can play out, but we will only know through our own experience at what vibration the planets are operating for us. There's a lot of activity for everyone in the world between the 10th and the 13th of December, give or take a day on either side. Both Saturn and Neptune move direct. Jupiter moves retrograde. So this signals to us that there's an energy adjustment needed, and we should be mindful. If we feel extra energetic or extra tired, we should really listen to that. And we're building towards the last full moon of the year, December 23rd in the sign of Cancer, which is where we began the year in January. So a beautiful full moon in your house of love received. I hope that you can spend the holidays feeling loved, feeling grateful, and surrounded by comfortable and joyful experiences wherever you find yourself. If you found something useful in this video, please like and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. I read each and every comment, and I will see you next time.